The world is full of people who seem harmless at first glance, whose smiles appear genuine, whose words sound like wisdom. But there is a subtle poison in the way they move through life, a shadow that can creep into your mind, twist your perception, and steal your energy without a single word spoken. Carl Jung, in his quiet, piercing way, spoke of the types of people who, if allowed too close, can distort the trajectory of your soul, siphon your vitality, and leave you unrecognizable to yourself. These are not the enemies you can fight with fists or arguments. They are predators of the psyche, masters of subtle manipulation, experts in the art of psychological thievery. And to survive in a world where such people exist, to thrive, to live fully without being diminished, you must recognize them, understand them, and most importantly, avoid them. The first type is the perpetual victim. They carry a burden that is often invisible to others, yet they expect you to carry it with them. They speak in absolutes, framing life as something that has been done to them, that the universe is a cage, that circumstances are always against them. You may feel compassion, and compassion is noble, but there is a trap here. The perpetual victim seeks allies in misery, and when you empathize, they do not uplift, they tether. You give a piece of your clarity, a piece of your energy, and they demand more. Jung would warn, do not mistake empathy for ownership of their pain. The danger is not in their existence, it is in your willingness to make their suffering your prison. Next, there is the manipulator in charm, those whose charisma masks a relentless self-interest. History is full of men and women who could speak the language of angels, yet acted with the cunning of Machiavelli. These people will seduce your mind with flattery, with smiles, with promises of connection and greatness, all while they extract pieces of your strength without leaving a trace. Nietzsche observed the allure of power disguised as benevolence. Aldous Huxley noted how appearances can conceal the hollow void within. A manipulator in charm is not merely annoying, they are dangerous because they make you doubt your own judgment. They make you question what you knew to be true about yourself, and if you let them in, they can turn your clarity into confusion, your confidence into hesitation. The third type is the constant critic, those who cannot celebrate another's success without casting shadows over it. Every achievement you have is a mirror reflecting their own inadequacy. They cloak envy in advice, in warnings, in concerned words meant to pierce your armor and keep you small. Jung's psychology tells us that envy is a shadow trait, and exposure to the shadow of others can infect the psyche if we do not recognize it. The constant critic is dangerous because they teach you to doubt yourself through subtle erosion, not through overt attacks. Each encounter leaves behind a residue of self-questioning, and without vigilance, you begin to internalize their contempt. The fourth is the energy vampire, a person whose presence always drains rather than nourishes. You feel lighter when you are away from them, heavier when you are with them, and they rarely realize their impact, or perhaps they do, and they thrive on it. Modern slavery is not always chains and whips. Often it is time, attention, and emotional labor stolen under the guise of friendship, love, or obligation. Jung would suggest that such people exist as tests of your boundary setting, tests of your ability to honor the psyche. Every encounter is a test. Will you surrender your vitality, or will you reclaim it? The danger is not in confrontation, it is in failing to recognize that your energy is your currency, and some will attempt to bankrupt you without ever lifting a hand. Fifth comes the narcissist masquerading as a sage. These are individuals who speak of higher ideals, of growth, of enlightenment, yet their every action revolves around themselves. They will quote Nietzsche or Jung, not to illuminate, but to control. They will offer guidance, not to empower, but to position themselves as indispensable. These are the people who turn your pursuit of self-realization into a project for their validation. They are dangerous because they prey on your desire for understanding, your longing for meaning. To the untrained eye, they are mentors. To the awakened mind, They are predators feeding on your hunger for truth while serving none of it. Finally, the chaotic instigator, whose purpose is disruption. Unlike the energy vampire or the manipulator in charm, the chaotic instigator thrives in upheaval, in confusion, in the destabilization of order. They are drawn to those who are strong, not to challenge them honestly, but to fracture their sense of balance, to scatter the seeds of doubt and discord. Jung's archetypes remind us that chaos is necessary within, but when chaos is imported from without, it is a threat. The chaotic instigator will challenge your peace at every turn, not to awaken you, but to test your limits, to pull you into unnecessary conflict, to revel in the unmaking of your calm. They are the storm without, and they will persist until you choose the shelter of distance and discernment. To navigate the world of these 6 dangerous presences is not a call to isolation. It is a call to mastery. Syphoria is the state of awareness that allows you to perceive the subtle undercurrents of intention, to sense the vibration of integrity versus the tremor of exploitation. Mindset becomes your armor, belief your compass. Clarity arises not from naivety, but from experience, from reflection, from knowing the difference between a shadow projected outward and a shadow dwelling within you. Vision demands you see not just the people before you, but the patterns, the histories, the archetypes that repeat across time, from Machiavelli's courts to the modern boardrooms, from the whispers of Nietzsche to the pages of Huxley. Discipline in guarding your mind is not rigidity. It is the cultivation of a strong inner sanctuary, a place where your energy is inviolable, where your boundaries are non-negotiable, where your purpose is the measure of every relationship you entertain. Action becomes a selective force, a sifting mechanism through which the weak influence falls away and only what serves your growth remains. Gratitude is the antidote to obsession with other shadows. Adaptability is the key to navigating the unexpected tactics of the manipulator and the chaotic instigator alike. Resilience is forged not in avoiding these dangerous people, but in understanding them, recognizing the role they play as catalysts for your discernment, and emerging unscathed, wiser, and more self-aware. To live fully, to awaken the depths of your psyche as Jung envisioned, is to honor both light and shadow within yourself, while refusing to let the shadow of others dictate your life. This is the discipline of the modern seeker, the courage to confront the world without succumbing to its subtle corrosions, the audacity to rise above influence that diminishes, the clarity to see the 6 dangerous presences not as enemies to be destroyed, but as signals to strengthen, to purify, to illuminate the path that is yours alone. You will encounter them. You will feel their pull. And yet the power lies not in their existence, but in your ability to navigate, to separate, to retain the sovereignty of your inner world. It is here, in this mastery, that you find the freedom Jung promised, the ability to live authentically, to act decisively, and to know with unwavering certainty that nothing and nobody can trespass upon the sanctum of yourself. The vigilance you practice today is the liberation you enjoy tomorrow. And in that liberation, you are untouchable, unshakable, unbreakable, a living testament to the courage of clarity, the strength of discernment, and the eternal pursuit of the self. This is not a lecture. This is not advice for the faint-hearted. This is a declaration. The world is full of dangerous presences, but your mind, your soul, your life is sovereign. The 6 exist. They will come. And you, armed with awareness, conviction, and the discipline to maintain your boundaries, will remain untouched, free, and fully alive. You are the gatekeeper of your psyche. You are the arbiter of your reality. And from this moment onward, no subtle poison, no seductive charm, no hidden envy, no parasitic energy, no narcissistic manipulation, and no chaos-instigating force can breach the walls you build with knowledge, courage, and unwavering self-mastery. You are whole, you are awake, you are untouchable, and nothing and nobody will ever harm the core of your being again. The moment you internalize this truth, something within you shifts. It is a quiet revolution, a turning of the tide that begins not with action in the outside world, but with sovereignty in the inner world. Your psyche, the sacred architecture of your mind and soul, becomes a fortress. And fortresses are not built overnight. They are erected brick by brick, layer upon layer, with the mortar of self-awareness and the stone of disciplined consciousness. Every thought you guard, every boundary you enforce, every decision to walk away from the subtle corruption of others is a brick added to the wall, a tower of strength rising impervious to the tides of manipulation that seek to erode you. Consider the manipulator in charm once more. You may encounter them at work, at social gatherings, in the guise of mentors or lovers, and at first their radiance can dazzle. But here is the alchemy of discernment. When you see their words for what they are, tools of extraction rather than vessels of truth, you no longer stumble into their trap. You do not need to wage war against them, for in the moment you recognize their intent, their power over you evaporates. Their charm becomes transparent, their flattery impotent, their subtle demands meaningless. They are like a shadow passing over a mountain. The peak remains unmoved, unmelted by the darkness that dares to cross it. The perpetual victim teaches a different lesson. They will seek to pull you into their cycle of despair, to make your energy feed their stagnation. But once you recognize their pattern, you see that the danger is not the existence of their pain, but your willingness to allow it to define your actions. Compassion becomes a tool of clarity rather than captivity. You learn to care without carrying, to witness without absorbing, to love without losing yourself. The psyche grows stronger, not by closing off entirely, but by mastering the flow of empathy, by transforming kindness into armor rather than vulnerability. The constant critic, with their relentless disapproval, offers a lesson in self-validation. No words from the outside can define your worth. Every sarcastic remark, every undermining comment is a mirror held up to your own insecurities. And once you no longer see yourself reflected in their judgment, their influence ceases. The critic's power lies only in your attention, and once that attention is redirected inward to the cultivation of your own vision, your own skill, your own purpose, they become irrelevant. Nietzsche called this becoming who you are. And it begins with the rejection of external chains forged from envy and negativity. Energy vampires and narcissists, masquerading as sages, require a deeper vigilance. They are predators of subtlety, often invisible until their extraction has already occurred. Yet even here, mastery is possible. Energy is a tangible force, and your ability to preserve it is an act of sovereignty. You learn to identify the subtle drains, to measure the cost of every interaction, to exit gracefully before depletion occurs. Narcissists seek to claim your journey as their own. The enlightened mind sees their tactics for what they are: illusions, attempts to divert your quest for truth into the service of someone else's ego. You maintain your course, your rituals, your practice, your mission, and their smoke and mirrors fall harmlessly away. The chaotic instigator, perhaps the most insidious of all, thrives on turbulence. They attempt to destabilize the order you have fought to create within yourself. But the awakened soul perceives chaos not as enemy, but as test. In their attempts to sow discord, you learn the true depth of your inner equilibrium. Your reaction, or rather your deliberate choice not to react, becomes a declaration of independence from the external turbulence. Your calm, your focus, your center of gravity is untouched because you have cultivated the inner discipline to observe without being moved. Huxley once wrote of the importance of internal liberty. To be free in the mind is to be unassailable in the world. Every encounter with danger, every brush with manipulation is a crucible. It is here, in these subtle battles, that your psyche is tempered. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming the complete self. And here is the practical manifestation. Each person who seeks to weaken you, each force that attempts to trespass upon your energy, becomes a teacher of your sovereignty. The world's toxicity is not a condemnation. It is an invitation. You are called to rise above, to assert control over your internal realm, to craft a life untainted by the shadows of others. This is the ultimate discipline, to live fully awake, to maintain clarity while the world moves in shadow, to act decisively while others remain ensnared in subtle patterns of manipulation and emotional theft. You begin to move through life with an elegance born of awareness, a quiet power that is not loud or violent, but undeniable. You are like a river flowing around obstacles, consuming nothing that does not serve your purpose, shaping the terrain of your life with precision and grace. And the culmination of this journey, what Jung would call the realization of the self, is the understanding that the world may be filled with dangerous presences, but none of them can touch the essence of who you are. Your mind, your spirit, your energy are sovereign territories. No perpetual victim can anchor you in their despair. No manipulator can ensnare your choices. No critic can infiltrate your self-worth. No energy vampire can drain what you consciously guard. No narcissist can hijack your journey. No chaotic instigator can destabilize your core. This is the revelation. Freedom is internal first. It is a fortress built with vigilance, clarity, and the unwavering practice of discernment. It is a power so profound that the world's manipulations, deceptions, and subtle violences bounce off you harmlessly. You walk among these forces not as prey, but as a master of your own life, untouched in spirit, unbroken in will, and invincible in resolve. The 6 dangerous presences are real, and they are relentless, but so too is the awakened self. The mind trained in awareness, the soul disciplined in boundaries, the spirit aligned with purpose. This is a force no external shadow can dim. Every encounter becomes a lesson. Every test becomes a reinforcement. Every attempt at influence becomes a mirror reflecting your power. You have arrived at the threshold where knowledge meets action. You are no longer vulnerable to subtle poisons, no longer swayed by charm or criticism, no longer diminished by the energy of others. You are whole, you are awake, you are sovereign. And in this sovereignty, you are finally free. Free to live fully, act decisively, and experience the world as it was meant to be experienced. Through the lens of a mind unassailable, a heart uncompromised, and a spirit untouchable. You are untouchable. You are unbreakable. You are free. And now, in this freedom, a new horizon appears, a horizon that was always there, but hidden behind the veil of distraction, the fog of other people's drama, the weight of unexamined patterns. You begin to see that life is not a battlefield where survival depends on avoiding harm. Life is a canvas, vast and waiting, demanding the courage to paint your truth without hesitation, without apology, without compromise. Every interaction becomes a brushstroke, every choice a color, every thought a texture. And when you paint with the clarity of self-possession, the painting becomes magnificent, not because it follows anyone else's rules, but because it is authentically, profoundly, unshakably yours. Imagine walking into a room and feeling no compulsion to perform, no need to defend, no instinct to explain. You are present in a way that others cannot touch. Your aura is magnetic not because you demand attention, but because you emit presence, a presence that is rare, disciplined, and unmistakably powerful. The manipulator feels it, and they recoil, for the charm that once worked upon you is meaningless here. The critic attempts to pierce the armor of your mind, but there is no armor to pierce, only an unshakable center that radiates an authority born from self-mastery. Even the chaotic instigator senses your equilibrium and instinctively knows they cannot move you. This state of being is not arrogance. It is mastery. It is not isolation. It is discernment. You do not withdraw from the world to escape it. You engage with it selectively, strategically, consciously. You move through relationships with precision, knowing that each connection must serve growth, alignment, or mutual respect. And in this way, you become not only untouchable, but magnetic drawing into your orbit those who add value, insight, and depth, while the rest fade into irrelevance, unable to disturb your focus. To achieve this, you must cultivate rituals that reinforce sovereignty. Daily reflection, meditation, deliberate solitude, these are not indulgences. They are weapons. Every morning, when you face your reflection, ask not what the world wants from you, but what you demand of yourself. Every decision, every conversation, every action becomes an opportunity to fortify the inner citadel. The energy you conserve becomes the energy you invest, and the investment is the life you desire, the freedom you crave, and the power that is now unmistakably yours. And yet, mastery is not static. It is alive, constantly tested, constantly refined. Life will continue to present challenges, subtle, insidious, sometimes disguised as love, opportunity, or friendship. But you are no longer reactive, you are proactive. You move before the threat emerges, you recognize the shadow before it takes form, and you choose your engagement or your withdrawal with deliberate intention. This is the essence of Jungian wisdom made modern. To know oneself so fully that the illusions of the external world cannot bind you. To face darkness not with fear, but with clarity. And to step forward unflinching, unshakable, and entirely free. The truth that emerges is simple yet profound. You are the arbiter of your experience. Pain no longer defines you. Manipulation no longer dictates you. Criticism no longer confines you. Chaos no longer commands you. You are a sovereign being, and sovereignty is not given, it is claimed. And when you claim it, when you step fully into the power of your mind, your spirit, and your presence, the world bends to your authenticity. Not because it must, but because it cannot resist the force of someone who is fully, undeniably, and unapologetically themselves. This is the culmination, the awakening to the invincibility of inner life. It is not boastful. It is not violent. It is a quiet, unyielding authority that does not require recognition, yet cannot be ignored. It is the mastery of self in a world that constantly tests the boundaries of identity, energy, and purpose. And in this mastery, you discover the ultimate freedom. The freedom to live fully, love authentically, act decisively, and experience existence unbound by the subtle manipulations of others. Remember always that this power resides within. It has been there all along, waiting for the moment you decide to see it, to own it, to wield it. And once you do, nothing, no person, no circumstance, no shadow can diminish it. You are whole, you are sovereign, you are untouchable, you are free. The world will continue to test, tempt, and challenge you. But now you move through it with the confidence of someone who knows the rules of engagement, that the only true power lies within, and no external force can ever reach the fortress you have built. Every challenge becomes a mirror. Every threat becomes a teacher. Every difficulty becomes fuel for further growth. And as you walk this path, unbroken, unwavering, and fully awake, you realize the final truth. Freedom is not found in circumstances. It is forged in the unassailable strength of the self. You have arrived. You are awake. You are untouchable. You are free. And now, in the quiet of this realization, you understand something that cannot be taken away. The true invincibility of life is not in avoiding pain, controlling others, or bending the world to your will. It is in mastering yourself. The storms will come, the chaos will rage, the shadows will tempt, but none of it can touch the core of who you are. That core is your fortress, your sanctuary, your eternal flame. It is unshakable, because it is born not of circumstance, not of approval, not of fleeting desires, but of truth. Stand in that truth. Feel its power coursing through every thought, every action, every heartbeat. Let it remind you that the world's judgments are hollow, its manipulations impotent, and its chaos irrelevant to the one who has claimed mastery of their mind, body, and spirit. Let it guide you to walk boldly, love wisely, act decisively, and speak authentically. Let it lift you above the distractions of weak minds and hollow hearts, above the noise of opinions and the pull of illusions. And when you walk this path unyielding, fearless, sovereign, you will see the world differently. You will see people not as threats or obstacles, but as reflections of themselves, as teachers of lessons you have already mastered. You will encounter challenges not as burdens, but as invitations to deepen your strength, expand your vision, and refine your wisdom. You will move through life untethered, free from the chains of expectation, free from the shadows of manipulation, free from the illusions of weakness. This is your ascension. This is the birthright of every soul willing to look inward, face the darkness, and claim the power that has always been theirs. It is not a gift, it is a conquest, a disciplined pursuit, a relentless journey toward the unshakable self. And in this self, nothing can hurt you, nothing can sway you, nothing can diminish the fire that burns within. So rise, stand tall, breathe deeply, feel the unassailable power of your own consciousness. Know that you are the architect of your existence, the master of your destiny, and the guardian of your inner sanctuary. Walk forward in this world, not as a victim, not as a follower, not as a seeker of approval, but as a sovereign being, fully awake, fully alive, and untouchable. And in that moment, as you move through life with clarity, courage, and conviction, you realize the ultimate truth. The only force that can ever truly define you is yourself. And you have chosen freedom.